Mike Phillips, Autogeek.com. And I have with me today Bruno Massel from Bruno Massel Racing. And we're just going to kind of talk about your background, your history, where you're at now, and where you're going into the future.
Well, I could bore you all day, so we'll start where I'm at right now. Right now I'm standing in my sponsor's home. This is Autogeek.com, and I've been part of this program and part of Autogeek for the past 7 years, Mike. And I've learned a lot from you and from everybody here at Autogeek and how to keep my stuff looking good. They support my racing, and honestly, my very first race with Autogeek on the side of my car in West Palm Beach, we won. And won a championship the following year. So I've had a great run with the folks at Autogeek and continuing to do so in 2019. On the track, I compete in 3 different cars. A Copo Camaro at 2018. I've got a turbocharged 4-cylinder dragster that at a 4-cylinder goes in the low 6-second range at over 212 miles an hour.
Yeah,
and then a car we won 2 world championships with in NHRA, a turbocharged Cobalt. So that's the racing arsenal and a big part of my life. Get my hands dirty and then got to keep the car clean to represent Autogeek.
And then besides racing, you're also the host of 2 different TV shows.
Yeah, so
that keep you busy.
Yeah, I get to talk a lot. You can tell I talk quick and got a little bit of energy in me and allowed to talk about my true passion is cars. So I've done a show called Truck U on Velocity, now Motor Trend these days. We made the big switch over last week. Truck U now will be entering next year in 2019, our 13th season. Garage Squad is a prime time show I do on Velocity as well. We'll be entering season 6 next year, and show's done really well. It's an opportunity for us to kind of give back to people.
Sure.
Mike, I don't know if people are familiar with the show or not, but you basically go and help people rescue projects that have kind of got, kicked to the curb. So we'll go to their house, on the floor, no lifts, no fancy tools. We'll get the cars up and running again and kind of save a nostalgic piece of their life and bring it back together. And for us, it's a really cool opportunity to do that. It's a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and we shed a tear along the way in a lot of the episodes. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like watching that show. You're basically taking projects that have been mothballed and bringing them back to life.
Yeah.
And they're mothballed for all kinds of reasons. People get busy. Life happens.
Life seems to get in the way. Everybody has the best of intentions. We met a young guy, season 1, who actually, during the recession of 2008-9, decided he was going to flip cars like people flip houses. But he knew nothing about cars.
Yeah.
He actually bought 2 cars and was going to channel them together, and it was the biggest disaster and bastard of a vehicle you ever find. But the nicest guy you ever met, his family, great people, they had a great story, and he learned a lot from that and actually started working at a body shop and now works as a place that restores cars and builds custom cars. So he took away something from that, and we were able to bring a little light into his life as him and his wife had a kid shortly after. So pretty neat scenario and just some of the cool things we run into along the way.
Now, back to racing, since you just brought up his family and he has a kid, how does your wife feel about you going down the racetrack at these incredible speeds, at super velocities, What's she have to say about that?
Early on...
There is a little bit an element of danger there, right?
Yeah, early on, my wife loved it. The first race she came with us was like a 2-week race out west, and she fell in love with the sport. She was a huge supporter, and it is of everything I do. But as I've gotten kids, as I've gotten a little older, and concussions from football have caught up, and now Max with concussions from hitting walls and race cars, it becomes a little tough. Last year, I was actually knocked unconscious in a car in Bowling Green, Kentucky, my 1 Copo Camaro. And unfortunately, just a part of life, a part of the sport, an unfortunate side of it. But I'm still here, and it's still in one piece. But there's some scary moments along the way for sure.
Well, and I know nowadays they build so many safety features into a race car. Everything from your helmet to your suit to the roll cage and just the cameras inside that are monitoring you and everything that's going on. So racing now is a lot safer, but there's always going to be that element of danger. Just uncontrollable things are going to happen.
Right, they really do. And honestly, I look at it as I'm more at risk driving down the freeway than I am in my race car.
Yeah.
I feel really good with a 7-point harness, a Hans device on, and SFI roll padding than I do with some lunatic who's late for a date texting on his phone
Exactly.
at the same time.
Putting their makeup on in the morning,
Right,
going through a light. I lived in Southern California for 7 years and drove the 15. And I always explain it as being like in the destruction derby. Everybody's trying to get from point A to point B, is breaking the law as fast as they can, and there's just no disregard for the law at all.
No regard for it whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The racing thing, there is that element, obviously, that makes you want to do it, that of fear and destruction and courage and all that. But for me, it's really a competitive thing. I grew up playing sports as a kid, played college football for a little while, and didn't pan out to be what I had hoped. but I miss that competitive side, and racing allows me to still go out there and compete week by week. It's great for me because you mentioned the family side of it. My dad, that's how I got into the sport. As a kid, we didn't go to play baseball games, football games.
Yeah.
Went to the drag strip.
Yeah.
You know, so when I got licensed when I was 18, I did a burnout in a car he was going to flip and sell, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all it took. You know what I mean? So it is the best drug you could ever be addicted. Have
Yeah.
is the world of racing or cars, because it's something we share that passion for. We have a great deep connection because of racing and because of working on cars. My dad no longer races, but we just did a 57 Chevy for him, a frame-off restoration. He's got a 34 coupe that is going to be the baddest thing to ever go on the street that we're working on now. So I'm really connected to the industry on multiple levels. It just, it's in my blood, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, since you brought up your dad, what's his background in racing? Now, don't you guys have your own business in the transmission aspect of it?
Yeah, my dad invented a transmission back in the late 80s. Basically, not to get too technical, but it took a typical manual transmission and made it to a torque converter. And he's got 14 patents on it, and it's something that has really stood the test of time. From the early 80s to now, we've got people putting 5,000 horsepower to these transmissions, and it's something that's serviceable, livable, and takes some of the guesswork out of an entry-level guy coming into the sport. So something that's really carried on over the years, and it's pretty neat. I'm pretty proud of my dad and his accomplishments that he's had in the technical side of the sport as well.
Well, when it comes to any component of the moving parts of a car, to me, the transmission is the most mysterious. I like to wrench on cars. I'm good with rebuilding brakes, assembling motors, installing all this stuff, but I've only put in one shift kit in my life, and I found it kind of overwhelming just to do a basic B&M shift kit install, you know. So if your dad has invented and created a transmission that you can bolt 5,000 horsepower,
yeah, 5,000 horsepower
up to it, and it will withstand the test of time, that's an amazing testimony to his knowledge and skill and ability. And I'm sure a lot of that is passed off on you.
Well, you know, I didn't fall that close to the tree, but close enough where I get myself in trouble. You know,
yeah.
He's a really brilliant guy, and honestly, I've said this many times. Probably the smartest guy in any room he walks into, and a lot of respect for him. I continue to learn from him every day.
Gotcha. And now, when the racing season starts, is there, you know, a lot of people don't watch the racing circuit, but where does it usually start and where does it usually end up at the beginning of the year? For
the National Hot Rod Association, we start in Pomona, California, and we end there. Another element for me in the NHRA and what I do is I'm also one of the broadcasters for the NHRA Racing on Fox. So we work with Fox and Fox Sports 1 for the past 3 years I have. And it's a neat wrinkle because they allow me a certain amount of races off where I get to go and race in that series that I'm working in. A new wrinkle for this year is I'm actually going to race and commentate at a half a dozen events. And then there's some other, you know, we call them outlaw events that I'll compete in as well outside of it. So it'll be a lot of work. It'll be a lot of fun though, hopping in a race car, hopping out with a microphone, and we're going to try and give everybody a first-person look at what it's like to compete at one of these events. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. So it's a long season, starts February 7th and wraps up. Usually it's like the 12th of November.
Yeah. Now, a lot of guys, and I know when I was younger, I wanted to get into racing. I kind of went down the path of drag boat racing, but a lot of guys want to get into car racing. What kind of tips could you give them as far as a path to follow to get into it? Because nowadays it's mega $1 million into the race car, so you just don't start out the next day racing stuff like you do. But there must be a path, even today, a guy can start down to get involved.
You know, that's a really great question because I get that all the time, and a lot of people think that you have to start in a nitro category with a multi-million-dollar team. Well, no one's going to start there. You know, the reality is it's actually freakishly easy to do so because if you can pull up NHRA's website, or you can just type in drag strip nearby, and you will find there are drag strips everywhere. And you can go out with your mom's grocery getter, a minivan, go out, and you can run down the racetrack. And as your budget allows and your skill set allows, make improvements and work your way kind of up the ladder. There's so many local races, and it's got such a great foundation, the world of drag racing does, that there's ability for anybody to get at any level. And for kids, there's junior dragsters that start at the age of 5.
Wow.
You can get behind the wheel of a junior dragster. So it's something that you can grow with your budget and with your knowledge base and your skill set. There's potential to move up the ladder as you see fit.
When I was in high school, one of the things me and my buddies all went and did is we went to the high school drags.
Yep.
And so that was a night that they would lock out you know, the semi-pros, so to speak,
right,
and the real enthusiasts that were trying to get into the industry, and just held it for high school guys. And a lot of my buddies had a hot car, 67 Le Mans, some stuff, the big block Chevy, or like say, mom and dad's car.
Yep.
And I tell you, go to the high school drags, it's so much fun because when you take a car out there that's not actually designed to have the engine revved to the max and dump the clutch, all kinds of fun things happen on the racetrack.
Lots of sparks flying and cuss words coming out.
And liquids dumping out all over the place, and you can only imagine hey, Mom and Dad, the car's not running as well as it did.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
But one of the cool things, though, Mike, when you talk about that is they still do those high school drags, and they do them everywhere, which is cool. But you get an opportunity. You can go, if you're in the Florida area, middle country, you can go to Gainesville Raceway, the race where they have Big Daddy Don Garlich's race and all the legends of the sport. They still compete, go 300 miles an hour, and go out there and race Mom's Grocery Getter on a weekend.
Yeah.
Try to go to Wrigley Field and play ball with your kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't do that. So
yeah.
you can go play on some of the greatest surfaces in the world where the greatest athletes and drivers compete with your own grocery getter or your own street car or whatever it is. It's kind of cool to be able to play at that same level, at least on that same field.
And so there you have it. If you're watching this video and you've ever wanted to get to do the kind of fun things like Bruno's done and look at all the cool places it's taken him, just start. You know, get a car and start. And that's what usually most people fail to do. They think about it, but they don't take action.
Very good point, Mike. I agree with you.
Hey, Bruno, it's a real pleasure having you here
you
at the
too,
Autogeek
bud.
Show Car Garage, and it'll be fun watching you going into the year 2019, all the fast things you're going to do.
Hopefully it'll be a good one. Blackfire, the pro detailer's choice.